Well, reaction to the bombshell accusations coming in fast and furious this morning. Former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, as we told you, is calling for Swalwell to drop out of the governor's race. And my next guest is also a former Speaker of the House who represented the Golden State. Let's bring in Kevin McCarthy, who knows the dynamic well. Kevin, Pelosi's statement, as I discussed with Congressman Swalwell, it is clear that the best thing to be done is to be outside of the gubernatorial campaign. I always viewed Eric Swalwell as essentially her protege. How big of a deal is that?
This is very big because it was more than just a protege. This was her individual she protected the most. Let's remember what I have done for a number of years. When I became Republican leader, I got a briefing with Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker at the time, with the FBI on Eric Swalwell and his relationship with a Chinese spy. I turned to Nancy in that meeting and said, how can you keep him on the Intel committee? I then made a privileged motion on the floor to remove him. Every Democrat stood with Eric Swalwell. When I became Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, having stood with Swalwell before, tried to reappoint him to the Intel committee, and I denied it. We have all heard these rumors. It's interesting that the Democrats move now. It's a little like Joe Biden. Once Joe Biden got on the stage and the world saw it, they all ran, but they already knew it. I believe a number of these Democrats who have been defending Eric Swalwell, helping in his campaign, knew and had to have heard about these Democratic staffers before that he was prying on.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be fascinating to know. Look, I want to pull this up, too. This is a screenshot from Act Blue. Act Blue is the Democratic fundraising platform. It's a very big deal. And as you can see here, the page is not accepting donations at this time. I mean, is this the end of the road for Eric Swalwell? Can you even win in Congress without a fundraising platform like Act Blue?
No, and he was poised to become the nominee with the best chance of becoming Speaker. I remember being interviewed about his race a number of months ago. I said he's not qualified to even run. What I believe is going to happen, the governor's race is over for him. He will need to resign from Congress or be expelled, but he really is probably going to be looking at prosecution here. The number of people, it looks very similar, some of these accusations, that he could be prosecuted for the actions that he took against these young women.
Man, and we'll see, and of course, innocent until proven guilty, but we'll see if it ends up in a court of law. The Democrats, though, have no fear. They have a backup plan in your state of California. I want to roll the tape. Here's the backup plan.
The state could lose. Get out of my shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay. You also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
That's Katie Porter. Here's also a headline, New York Post. She's accused of putting scalding hot potatoes over her ex-husband's head. I mean, do they just not have any winners there in California? Because this ain't it.
No, they don't. And there could be a possibility, the way California runs their primaries, their open primaries, and the top two, meaning the top two vote getters. We have two Republicans that could become the top two. So you get into the general election, that would be your two choices. To me, California would finally be on a path to correction if that was the outcome of this primary.
We have the Real Clear Politics average here. This is before the explosive Eric Swalwell reporting, aggregated polling. To your point, you see here Steve Hilton, Republican at the top, 14.7%. Swalwell was just under that. Chad Bianco, also Republican, 13%. The alleged potato dumper, Katie Swalwell there, at Katie Porter, 11.3%. So how does this shake up the race? I imagine Swalwell dumps to the bottom.
Yeah, well, Swalwell will drop very hard. And in California, what Gavin Newsom has done, he sends everybody a ballot, whether you asked one or not. And there's a lot of families that you get multiple ballots throughout your house. But we're going to see, where does the Swalwell voter go? The race was still wide open, but all the money, remember, the California Teachers Association, all the biggest unions, not only were backing Swalwell, they had put super PACs together. They had already put millions of dollars there. And remember, Adam Schiff was his biggest supporter of Swalwell, as Nancy Pelosi. Gomez was too. These were his very best friends in Congress. These are the people people he went out with at night. These are the people he hung around at night. And now they're distancing themselves. I wonder if they're distancing themselves because people are going to ask them the question, when did they know and why didn't they do something about it? You know, leadership is about taking action against those who abuse power and trust. And this is exactly what Swalwell did. And I think if you look at my political career, whether it be Eric Swalwell or Matt Gaetz, we would stand up against these individuals, and it's rightfully that we do and correct Congress.
As you should, and we'll see if Hakeem Jeffrey does it, because right now the statement is we want an investigation, you got to drop out of the governor's race, but hey, you could still be a congressman. Really interesting logic there. Kevin McCarthy, thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.